Welcome to Meyer's Megafictional Musings. And today I do want to just muse a little bit. And you might be thinking to yourself right now, is that a flippin' turtleneck he's got on? Well, yes it is. Last night we had a winter storm here in southern Alberta, and the wind was howling all night long. It snowed throughout the night. There's drifts everywhere. The streets are pure ice. It's pretty chaotic. Now, say what you want about turtlenecks. And I get teased by some of my colleagues, good-naturedly, but I'll tell you one thing, they're functional. Since I've turned 40, I have noticed that I get cold a lot more often. So it's cold in my school, and it's certainly cold out there today. I was golfing last week, by the way, but it's freezing today. So I took the opportunity to bring out the old turtleneck one more time this year, hopefully just one more time this year. So welcome. Now, as I said, I just want to muse today. I just thought I would make a video. It's been a little while now. There's a few things I want to talk about, and I'm going to start with a book I recently finished that, again, now, at the risk of sounding pretty pretentious, because I feel like the last number of books I've been reading, especially, since I've been a part of this online community, have been one of the best books I've ever read. But it just is. I mean, there's no getting around it. I'd be lying if I said this next book wasn't a part of my top 10 instant all-time favorites. I finished Slaughterhouse-Five by Kurt Vonnegut a couple of nights ago. And without exaggerating, it is the funniest book I've ever read. It's pretty hard-hitting at times and thought-provoking, but absolutely hilarious. I don't think I've ever really laughed out loud in a book before. I mean, I might have giggled and laughed to myself in my head. Like, for example, A Naked Singularity is a funny book, but it's not as funny as Slaughterhouse-Five. So I was blown away by this book. I got a nice little, tiny little pocketbook copy from my younger brother for my birthday there, and I was like, oh sweet, I'll get to Vonnegut sometime. And then I wanted to squeeze something in before I do a group read of the recognitions, which I'll mention just in a sec here, but thought I'd squeeze some titles in. This one looked pretty small, so I jumped in and was instantly riveted. I just texted my brother, I'm like, my gosh, man, you have no idea how much I'm loving this. One of the best gifts I've ever got. So that was awesome. It is also, you guys, I don't know who does this, but I've decided to incorporate with this book a little bit of marginalia, just to engage with the text a little more. I just had a pencil with me and just whatever I thought, I would mark this thing up, because I'm going to read it again for sure one day. But yeah, so anyway, I don't know how many of you do that. For Slaughterhouse-Five, I was able to finish my first William Faulkner as well. I zipped through it pretty quickly. I was doing some research, and I heard that Light in August was a good starting point for Faulkner, so I found that along with As I Lay Dying and Sound and the Fury, and one called A Fable, at my used bookstore, which I was psyched about. I picked them all up, and I jumped into Light in August, and really liked it. Loved it. I mean, I will be reading all of Faulkner's catalog, no doubt. Now, just a couple things. Plot-wise, I was really engaged. And I mean, to me, it had really strong Grapes of Wrath vibes right off the bat. I was fully immersed in the time period in which this story took place during Prohibition there. And you care about these characters. I mean, I needed to know what was going to happen to Lena Groves, the pregnant girl, and, Byron Bunch, these characters. So I was pretty riveted. Thinking about it now, I realize I made my students read a heck of a lot more that last week there. Sit down, get in your desk, take out your books, we're reading. I would really like to finish this novel. Is basically what I said, so. Which is fine. I mean, my kids read, actually. They're a great group of readers, so I don't feel so bad, actually. Yeah. But I also realized, you guys, I guess the focus of this video would be this, and it's the fact that I've understood that I don't need to review every book I read, and I won't. I think maybe that was my intention when I first created the channel. But looking at a book like this, which is an absolute classic of literature, I don't need to ramble on about it. I'm just going to sound like an idiot. I mean, who doesn't, like, love that book? Maybe some people don't, but anyway, what I'm saying is I'm not going to do it justice, and I'm just going to stay away from it. Same for Light in August, actually. Now, I'm pretty humbled on that note, because here I am, considering myself a pretty seasoned reader, yes, and oh yeah, I'll get to that, but I had heard of, naturally, Kurt Vonnegut, but really had no clue as to the type of brilliance on display here. So very much a humbled reader right now, but a happy one. So that was great. Now, also, I wanted to squeeze in something else before I do a group read of the recognitions in a few days' time, actually. I am in a group to read the recognitions. Very excited about this. I've also decided to incorporate some marginalia when I go through the recognitions. So I tried to read this about 4 or 5 years ago, and for whatever reason, I'd given up about halfway. But as I've said many times, I am a different reader now, and reading it with the group is going to be awesome. Whatever that looks like, don't care. Just very excited to get started and engage with the community there. I'm also feeling, I guess, a little guilty. I wanted to squeeze in another title before I start the recognitions, and possibly use it as a side read as well. I was able to pick this up from my library. It actually took a few months. I had kind of given up hope on it. I put a hold in months ago, and it hasn't come in. And finally, I got an alert that it did. And I got a great reading day in yesterday. So I started the Topeka School, kind of in the late morning-ish, and I've decided to abandon ship. Now, I'm not proud of this because, as I said, I am a better reader. But, well, to be honest, I wasn't into it. And, I mean, life's too short to read when you're not enjoying it. And I've got the big group read coming up. So I set aside the Topeka School. Now, I have read Ben Lerner before. I listened to 1004, his earlier novel, on Audible. And I really liked it. So I thought I'd try this, but I just wasn't having it. And I gave up on page 44. And I always tell myself I need to get to page 50. But I was so eager to begin the recognitions, which I started last night. And I'm not going to start, but it's hard. It's hard. That's all I'll say right now. But I am excited, as I said. So while I've got you, forgive me if I bore you here, but I just want to give you a quick recommendation while I think of it. Perhaps you're like me and you want to squeeze some stuff in. I know we've got big TBR piles, but we do tend to stray from it sometimes. I mean, I know I do. So I was squeezing in these titles, trying to squeeze in these titles. Now, if I can offer a recommendation, because I've never talked about this author, Irvine Welsh, and he is a massive part of my reading journey, unquestionably. So when Trainspotting, the film, came out in the early 2000s, it instantly became a favorite movie of mine. I think it's number 3 now all time. It's a masterpiece. The book is also a masterpiece. So one of the things that can be a little off-putting at first if you haven't tried Irvine Welsh is the writing, the dialect, the colloquial Scottish text. Now it's interesting, one of the activities I do when we're talking about language kind of towards the beginning of the year, I show them a appropriate enough example from Trainspotting, just a short paragraph, and have one of the kids volunteer to read it as it sounds in the Scottish accent, right? So that always makes for some laughs in the classroom and some entertainment for sure. But once you get past that kind of colloquial writing, you guys, this guy can do it all. Irvine Welsh is really well-drawn characters, riveting stories. Like, for those of you that have seen Trainspotting, probably many, the book is very close to the movie, which I loved. So I've got a bunch of his. I didn't bring them, but he also does short stories, which are very good as well. So yeah, highly recommend reading Irvine Welsh if you want to squeeze something in. Now, sorry, but I don't want to keep you, but I also want to just jabber a little bit about, I guess, life lately. I've shared my enthusiasm for this online community a few times, and without exaggerating, I've said before, it's greatly enhanced my life these last number of months. Now, I just want to share quickly, I've been able to, as best as we can, connect with some staff members, and I just had a great day the other day, last week. So you have these little windows of time. I mean, we're trying to do the right things here. I'm trying to do the right thing by isolating. We're not supposed to be congregating with more than a few people as a staff. There's a certain amount of people allowed in the staff room naturally. We're all wearing masks all day, every day. So it gets really, really lonely, as you might expect, like I'm sure many of you all. But there are opportunities for connection. And for me personally, I just really function better when I'm interacting with other humans. Not just the students who I love, but it's different with adults. But so little things I want to give you an example of which really, really made me happy. I mean, one of my colleagues, Ken, he's a big fan of music. We go back and forth about music all the time. And I had come into some vinyls, some records from a friend of mine who had some duplicates. And I don't have a record player, so I don't really listen to records. They've just been sitting in my garage. There's about 25, 30 of them, and some really good ones. The Beatles, Lynyrd Skynyrd. Anyway, I'm going to hang on to most of them for a bit, but I decided to give my buddy Ken one because he was talking about this vintage record player he had purchased. So we're outside on supervision one day and we're chatting about it. So I decided to bring it to him and surprise him the next day with a copy of the Beatles. It was Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club. And I could see how just grateful he was, and it was just a really, really nice moment. And then, as I said, you get these pockets of time throughout the day where we're able to, I guess, just 15, 20 seconds, little interactions with staff members that are that I just need for sustenance, if I'm being honest. So I saw him quickly in the hallway the other day, and he's like, hey, yeah, Meyer, oh man, thank you again so much. It sounds great. It's in perfect condition. I just love it. So that was just so awesome. So I just wanted to share that. Another example. I didn't bring the book, but an educational assistant who's in the classroom with me a lot of times, Mark, and he's a non-reader, but he's wonderful to talk to. And somehow the subject of graphic novels came up. So he says he has this graphic novel by, gosh, I can't remember. I just got it the other day. Eisner is the last name, but A Contract with God, it's called. And it's one of the first graphic novels ever written. So he passed that along to me, and I gave him something else to try reading, which was great. So that was another really awesome moment I just wanted to share. And lastly, actually, we have a retired teacher. He retired last year, Randy. So he's 64 or so. Wonderful guy, really energetic individual. And he had always been a reader as well, but he walks into the staff room with James Patterson and Dean Koontz, and which is all fine. I love Dean Koontz, but he's reading these different types of books than I am, right? No doubt. So engaged with Randy lots over the years, and so what I did a couple of weeks ago is I said, hey Randy, how's James Patterson? Oh yeah, great, I love it. This blah blah blah, and I'm like, you should try this book called Middle C by William Gass. So I gave him Middle C. I told him a little bit about it. And I said, Randy, you can't be concerned about the plot, man. Like, he's like, are you the type of reader that always needs to know what's going to happen? He's like, well, yeah, well, I want you to slow down with this one, and I want you to enjoy the language. And so he started it. I saw him a few days ago, and he started it. I'm like, Randy, how is it? He's like, oh yeah, it's good. So another beautiful moment that I just was excited to tell people about. So I hope you're all doing well. Thanks a lot for stopping by, you guys. Cheers for... So I really appreciate you guys tuning in. I hope you got something from this video. I mean, Slaughterhouse 5, just to recap here, one of the best books I've ever read. Pretty soon, I hope to do I'm a big nerd, and I've always ranked when I was a teenager, top 10 songs or albums or movies and books and all of that. So I'm going to do that with the tag, I think, on Instagram. So looking forward to that. Now, yeah, recognitions, people. I'm psyched. You guys can't wait. Well, I did start this, but I'm going to do some marginalia. I'm looking forward to possibly even doing some meetups to discuss this massive tome that is the recognitions. That's one of my favorite covers of all time. Look at that. So cool. and obviously the introduction written by William Gass is phenomenal. So you guys stay positive and test negative, okay? Be well. Love you and miss you all.